Okay, for those that would like to see what these gauges look like installed, this is the Dakota Digital VHX gauges. They've got a small driver's information console at the bottom of each of the two major gauges. There's the one at the bottom of the tachometer and the one at the bottom of the speedometer. Then from there, next to that upper right hand corner, we have the fuel gauge. Next to that we have the temperature gauge. Below there we have oil pressure and voltage. So that's what they look like with the vehicle off. I'm going to turn the key on so you can see what the illumination looks like. Granted, my truck is red on red. That's red interior, red exterior. I thought about doing the red lights, but after looking at them online and a few other pictures and all of them, I decided to opt for the blue backlighting. I like it a lot better myself. So, turn it on. At the bottom of the tachometer, I've got it set to read the current time. Now, these readouts can be changed by that little switch right there underneath the turn signal indicator. I've got one on either side. This one here controls the display for that one, and that one there controls the display on the speedometer. Again, back to the other gauges, we have the fuel gauge, the temp, the oil gauge, and the volts. Of course, check engine light is showing right there and right there because I haven't started the vehicle yet. So, here we go. Get her fired up. Tachometer reading good. Speedo, I've got it set to show digital display as well. Fuel gauge hasn't moved. Temperature gauge is running a little bit warm. Got to get that taken care of. Oil pressure's good. And voltage is sitting good. Now on these gauges, like I said, the readouts can be changed just by pushing those little buttons. So we're going to see what kind of readouts we got on the tachometer here besides clock. Push a button once and it shows what they call the BIM clock. BIM stands for Bus Interface Module. This bus interface module is actually being read off the one for the GPS controlled speedometer, which is, you won't be able to see it too well, but I've got it sitting right there. Move that wiring out of the way. That's it right there. What that controls is a speedometer. Helps show you a very accurate speed that updates 8 times per second while you're going down the road. If you get in a place where you can't get a signal, like going through a tunnel or parking in an underground garage, it will remember the last few settings and run accordingly from there until you come back out and it reacquires the signal. Pretty cool. Got the antenna for that sitting up here mounted to the windshield. It sits right there. I got the lead runner from it down the side here. The black one, the red one goes up to the dash, up to the overhead console for power for that, and down and across. So, back to the tachometer display. We got BIM clock. We have ambient air temperature and direction. Now that ambient air temperature right now is reading 91 degrees, which is not correct for where I'm at right now. Yeah, I've got it the temp sensor sitting too close to the radiator, and it's reading temperature coming off the radiator as well. I've got to reposition it somewhere where it won't do that. I'll figure that out later. Next reading is altimeter. We're currently sitting at 30 feet above sea level. About 10-15 minutes ago it was reading 20 feet above sea level, so this tells me that the tide is going out. The vehicle hasn't moved for the last hour and a half, so yeah, the tide's going out right now. Next, push the button again and we have a reading for the barometric pressure outside. It's 27.8 millibars. Hit it again and we have digital readout for speed in kilometers, as opposed to over here where it's digital speed readout in mile per hour, what us Americans like. It's not that Canadian stuff. No offense to Canadians, but you know, trying to figure out kph to mph. No, I was raised on mph. Sorry. Okay, so from the next one on here, we get a reading that shows a high speed, 77 miles an hour. That was a highway traveling, trying to stay with traffic, so I don't end up having somebody trying to climb all up on me from the backside. Ah, look at that. 0 to 60 miles an hour in 25.5 seconds. Wow, that's fast. That's about right for driving around in a residential area. Next one, quarter mile speed is 15 miles an hour. Again, because of the residential area. And quarter mile time is 25.5 seconds. Again, residential area. If I ever can get a chance to get this thing out to a drag strip this summer, I might just take it out there and just for the heck of it and see what I can do with it. This big old 1-ton truck weighing close to 3.5 ton and 454 and turbo 400 transmission. I might be able to cut that time in half. Now one more time on the button, shows a digital readout for tachometer. Again, shows a high RPM, a 3600 RPM. That's when I was revving the engine real hard. This puppy at 75 miles an hour on the highway, I'm turning maybe 3000 RPM because of the gearing I have in it. Originally this truck came with 410 rear end gears in it. I replaced those with 354 gears and a gear vendor's overdrive unit. When the overdrive kicks in, it's the same as having 277 rear end gears. Great highway gears. My gas mileage went from maybe 8 miles to the gallon with the 410 gears in it to almost 16 miles to the gallon on the highway with the overdrive unit and the 354 rear end gears. I love it. Digital oil pressure readout, 27 psi. Compare that to right there. Yeah, about 27. Hit the button again. Ah, look at that. We got 99% fuel left in one of my tanks. I'll flip the switch over here. And when it goes to the other tank, the gauge will start reading as it's getting the signal from the other tank. It's only got about 20% fuel left in that tank, so it's going to take a minute or two for the gauge to switch. Anyways, we'll come back to that one. Let's take a look at this one. Again, with the dip switch down here, it's down to push it. Goes from digital speedometer readout to the digital temperature readout for the engine, 225 degrees. Yeah, it's running a little bit high. I got to figure out what's going on with that. I've already changed that thermostat and it didn't help. So something else is going on. Next one is a digital readout for the voltage, 14 volts. Yep, 14 volts. E. Okay, that tells me the switch is doing something screwy there. Having problems reading that gauge, which has dropped down to 0, which is not right because I know I got about 20% left in that tank. So we switch back to the other tank again. As soon as this thing stops flashing E on me, we'll flip it over to the next reading. 14 volt. And right there is the current mileage I have on the vehicle. I set that on here. You get one chance to set these within a month's time of putting it in. I went ahead and did that when I installed it. That way my mileage would be exact with what was on the original speedometer. After that month time frame goes by, you cannot do it again unless you send the brain box back into Dakota Digital and have them reset it. Okay, hit it again. 117 miles. That's how many miles I have on one tank of gas. Well, since I last filled up. That's around town driving, no highway driving. Around town driving, get maybe 10 to 11 miles to the gallon, yeah. Next one, 2,658.8 miles. That's how many miles I've put on this vehicle since I put the dash in here. That one right there shows how many miles are left until my next oil change. The S stands for service. And back to the speedometer. All in all, I really like this gauge setup. I'm happy I got it. That ends that. It's a little bit long, I know, but it covers everything.